AI is a time multiplier. It's a task multiplier. It's a way to be more effective with our tasks, with our time, with creating systems and automations. AI doesn't have that sensitivity to sit in your desk and start like interacting with the people in your organization, like creating all that working atmosphere, performance driven people management. AI doesn't have that because it hasn't replaced you yet, right?
Well, good afternoon, everyone. It is a pleasure to be here again with Sandra Hendricks. Sandra, thank you so much for making the time. I know you're super busy. You are running like crazy, coaching all over the world with, nothing but excellent results with the Tom Ferry International Organization, an amazing organization, amazing leadership there. So I'm more than blessed and grateful for the time that you've given us today. Thank you one more time.
Well, thank you, Miguel. As we know, I'm a coach for the Tom Ferry organization. And what I love about it is the level of exposure it gives me to help clients around the world, and that we understood that real estate is a global industry. But most importantly, is all of the challenges that leaders are having around the world, coping with this year that has been somehow different in so many aspects, but in the end, with so many shared challenges and issues to grow as a person, as a company, but most importantly, as a leader. Because sometimes we forget that leadership is based 100% on self leadership.
I cannot agree with you more. And it seems to be the theme of the week or the theme of nowadays that everybody is talking about the fear that we living in with AI is taking over and how the society is reshaping itself. And in my opinion, it's totally different, right? But what is your take? I mean, you talk to a lot of people. You talk to a lot of people around the globe. And are they fearful? Are they feeling uneasy about this pace that AI is being deployed?
What I see is that leaders and people and agents and individuals that are dedicated to serve, we can call it in any sales field, are receiving so much information because not only the world is being changed by AI every day, but also the systems and the world that we use to market ourselves. And you know it, we've seen it. It's the social media distribution, how all of the algorithms and how we see new programs every day. So from my point of view, it's most important now than ever that we focus on what we're going to work one step at a time and really focus on that. And most importantly is grabbing or apprehending or embracing the concept that from this moment on we're going to have to be learning, because we know that we said it before we started recording that it's IQ, EQ, but now AI is also agent intelligence, right?
Right. Crazy.
Just artificial intelligence, but agent intelligence. And as we adopt AI, instead of fearing it or thinking that we're not robots, it's important that we look at where in the areas of our business are we benefiting more from the application of AI. It can be simple automations. It can be getting familiar with the platforms, getting familiar with what's an AI agent. Or for example, you work this podcast wonderfully and you break one 20-minute podcast into so many pieces of content, right? And you do it using AI.
100%. And I am myself an emotional intelligence coach. And I can tell you that that is the key to unlocking a team performance, where AI to me is the tool that helps leaders to develop faster. So it's about speed. It's not about replacing. It's about how, as leaders, we can show up in the marketplace, and the speed that we can move out now, it is totally different. I'm liking it. I mean, I'm in my 50s, but it's very, very fun to watch how these new technologies are being deployed and how we're using them, right? But I think, Sandra, it is the time for us to talk about something that is probably in everybody's head, especially if you're in a leadership role, right? And it's the challenge that we feel as leaders that people don't talk often about: the burnt out, the disengagement, the outdated management styles, how I've been doing this forever. What can we do to help these people? What can you say to help these people today to feel and see the AI and EI and the tools that we have out there and the EQ can be worked together in synergy and synchronism to be, a magnificent opportunity for the humankind to develop themselves into something better?
I think it all starts with the way we think about ourselves and how we prepare for the day. Because if we let AI and this little computer and this big computer and so much information out there prevent us from being human, that is what is really overwhelming, because we're not in a race against machines and robots or AI or programming. We are in a process of adaptation, right? And maybe this might mean having more learning time. But most importantly, and what you and I always talk about, is how are we nurturing the self? Because AI is not going to change our habits. AI is not going to change the way we manage or emotionally regulate. Or, like my therapist says, instead of calling it the nervous system, we can call it the peaceful system, because even at the fact that we're calling it the nervous system implies that we're nervous, right? But
Yeah,
go ahead.
absolutely. I mean, let me just interact there for a second, because I think you have an amazing therapist if she's pointed it in that direction, because our brain is more than 2,000 years old, right? And it's being developed and actually exists with one purpose and one purpose only: is to protect us. It was created to protect you and me from dangers and from things out there,
Exactly.
right? That's amazing. But you also said just now, and I don't want this to go um, uh, without talking about the habits, because you can have all the AIs in the world, but if you don't have the habit, those tools are useless, right? So let's expand a little bit more in the habit that what do you see in the habits? How can this EQ and emotional intelligence can play into the habits?
I think that most importantly, we need to remember that we're humans and that our brain is here to protect us. You said it very wisely, because at its structural core, and let's call it hardware, it has not changed. What changes is the software. So, like Joe Dispenza talks about it, this is the hardware is the brain per se, right? The brain, how the brain anatomically is um, generated, and how we are born with the same brain structure, but what we do about it is what makes it different. And we have the huge capacity of creating new neuronal pathways every day. And the way that we rewire our brain is how we think and how we talk and how we feel. So if we're rejecting something from the very beginning because we feel threatened by it, it's because it's going against our own belief system. So, like Tom says, in order for us to meet the goals that we have right now or in 2026, is that we have to learn to be a different version of ourselves. Because it doesn't matter how much AI we adopt, if we don't change ourselves, AI might work, absolutely, but like you very well said it can work against us named as overwhelm, as burnout, as too much information, right? So basically, and this is what I have been coaching about, it's the way we treat ourselves first and how we start our day. You know me, I am a great fan of the morning routine and how we treat ourselves in the morning so that we can have the energy, the transformation of our mind, our habits, our patterns, our routine, and then we can start learning about AI, right? And no
Right.
AI, no matter how many Aura rings you wear, or how many sleep trackers, or how many mattresses or pillows with AI you use, if you don't change those habits, that's not going to work.
Right, because the tool is a tool, and I think we both agree on that is a tool, and either you use it or not. You can elect to walk to your job, or you can drive to your job, or you can get in a train to your job. You can use different tools to accomplish the same result. One might take longer than others. One will be more comfortable. One will be more beneficial. But I think, and I agree, meaning when I look on a leadership and the leaders that I coach through other organizations and major banks, what I see with them is a common theme: is burned out, disengagement, outdated management styles, the status quo. This is how we do it. Period. AI came and kind of forced all of us to start thinking differently because it gave us speed. That's what I think is the key here. The acceleration and the pace that we work in, and the ability to have an unlimited, I would say, an infinite memory on AIs, but that doesn't replace how we feel about it, right? So we need to work very hard, in my opinion, to help our teams at its core to have something we spoke about last week was, or 2 weeks ago, it was culture, right? Culture is key. And you also talk about business plan, and we are in a season where this is being recorded in October 2025, actually the last day of October, and I think pretty much everybody is in business plan mode right now, right? What we're going to do next year. So culture, is culture, in your opinion, something that AI can replace?
No. AI is a time multiplier. It's a task multiplier. It's a way to be more effective with our tasks, with our time, with creating systems and automations. But AI will not replace our culture. AI doesn't have that sensitivity to sit in your desk and start like interacting with the people in your organization, like creating all that working atmosphere, performance driven people management. AI doesn't have that because it hasn't replaced you yet, right?
Yet,
So,
I
yet.
agree.
That's the importance of what's your culture, but most importantly, it's your leadership style. Because we call or we talk about culture a lot. But what culture is mainly made of is communication and congruency. Communication and congruency. So, you as leader, how congruent are you in terms of your culture? How congruent are you in communicating your culture? And how is this working hand in hand with your core values? So that is what AI will not substitute: your core values. It will not substitute your culture. It will not substitute your human touch. And you knowing everything that we always talk about when we together, I mean, we never have enough time to talk about habits and patterns and how our emotions influence everything that we do.
Percent right. Um,
Exactly.
it is like, let me give you a perfect example. Right, today I might not feeling at my best. I might be feeling sick. I have to work. I have to do other things. I have to be here. I have to be present. I have to put my best uh, foot
Food for
forward to, yeah, to to keep on pushing and keep on doing. But it's the EQ, is my emotional commitment, my ethical values. at core, right? Because it's up to me to press the button and give the command. It's up to me to write up that prompt. It's up to me to deploy flows and use them. What I see is happening right now is that, in my opinion, we are evolving to a more productive and a smarter society where now thinking and be analytical and be critical and be productive, it makes more sense instead of spending the time in being busy, right?
Yes.
We're taking the busyness out of the job site. So let's talk about that for a second, right? Because we see people being busy but not productive, right? So when you're coaching, when you're talking to people, number one, do you see that as a common pattern? And number two, what is your biggest advice to people and how to
Because
overcome that challenge?
I am a very convinced coach that there is no such thing as time management. It's emotional management and energy management. And yes, I have seen beautiful schedules, time blocked with colors, with everything that you can tell me. But like Rory Vaden once said, we cannot think in terms of time management because we are emotional beings. And he talks specifically about when he had to go on a trip, everything was time management managed, and his son tells him, are you leaving again for the weekend? I don't remember if it was his son or that's or he was talking about a friend, but the fact is that the child was telling the father, are you leaving away again for the weekend? And that's
Right.
purely emotional. That's
It is
purely
pure.
emotional. And that's where we start getting the distraction. That's when we start going into into the bad game of guilt, shame, blame, guilt, all of those emotions that at some point stop serving us when it comes to time management. What I hear very often is distractions. But we are the ones that allow the distractions. We are the ones that allow the distractions. And that is why it's so important that we focus on the tasks that we are really good at, and other tasks we need to either eliminate, delegate, or automate. And that's where the strengths and weaknesses come in, right? So, in order for us to be able to manage our time, where do we need help, right?
Right, right,
What
right.
are we good at? And start healing the barriers of limiting beliefs, because like you and I are in sales, right? Our clients are in sales, our employees are in sales. So still, sales is a person to person task that needs conversations. But Miguel, if you don't trust yourself, if you're not confident in yourself, and you're telling me that you don't like to make conversations because you don't like commission breath and you don't know what to say, then that's when the distraction comes in, and that's not your strength. That becomes a weakness.
100%. And that's when we hide and being busy, non-productive, right? And then we comment, you and I, we have seen that often, right? So the report back is, oh, I did this amazing business plan, or I wrote down this strategy, or I'm writing up my scripts in social media, or I'm being, but it's not a purpose, it's not intentional action that goes hand to hand with the result and is not being measured, right? And we talk about being measured, the measure, and then what doesn't get measured doesn't get done. And that's so important also to highlight today in our conversation, right? So if we look back what we're talking about, we start talking about how in leadership AI is not a threat, how leadership today is more than is nothing more than a tool. And then we talk about how we can, overcome the burnouts or the challenges that leadership faces day in, day out. But throughout the conversation, Sandra, to me, what's been more relevant and is evident is the fact that is the human who controls the AI in no the other way. And number two, we need to embrace it. We need to create the right habits. We need to have the right culture, and we need to lean on the being human and stop, be scared about it. And when I was preparing for our talk today, I was thinking, what can we bring to the marketplace? What can we do as in a joint effort to add value, to give back. So why we don't bring three or four nuggets, three or four tips that people can go out today and win in a marketplace? What would be two or three? And I would probably add another two or three myself.
Like, for example, let's go back to a salesperson, right? Who also needs self leadership, because there are solo agents out there, or small teams, or small business people. And how do we integrate? How do you create yourself as a better person? Through a morning routine, through going to sleep early, through understanding how your body works so you can be able to perform in the morning. And then delegate. Which tasks are at home do you need to delegate, so that when you come to the office, what are you going to automate? For example, you as a business owner, what do you need to automate? Your CRM, your numbers, your how do you look at the big data, at financial numbers, macro numbers, micro numbers, so that you can have those conversations and you can gain clarity and confidence. That is something you can automate. And you can also automate through your CRM. How are you going to talk to people today, and how you're going to keep that personalization, and, like Tom says, build a moat around your business. Also, if you need to work on your skills, you have conversational LLMs, large language models, that you can role play with
100%.
another person. So right there, you're priming yourself as a person, putting you first with a morning routine. Then you're starting to delegate menial chores at home that will stop you. And then you come to the office and you're starting to automate through your CRM, through understanding financial decisions better through AI, which AI will do them better than you. That's total truth. And having the role play and being more confident, using a CRM to organize your conversations. And that is true for every leader, because maybe a leader doesn't talk to tens of clients every day, but their team does. And also, a
100%.
leader needs to work with a data tracker, for example, a CISO, a CTE, a broker mint, so that leader can see where his company is at based on those numbers that he fed it from the business plan, right? So that way, at 9 a.m., that leader already knows about the market. That leader already knows who he's going to talk to and what happened during the last conversation. That leader already refined his or her skills, and that leader already knows where his or her company is at because of the numbers and the systems. Get ready to start at
100.
9 a.m., right?
100%. So let me add a couple myself. So number one, you don't need to be motivated. You need to be disciplined, right? Motivation comes after the action, not before the action. So we need to understand that, right? So we need to go through the uncomfortable push or action to get motivated. Number two, for me, to add to everything that you have said that has so much value, it is you need to be able to identify patterns. What is working? What's not working? What are you doing consistently, right? Because a habit is something that you do naturally without even thinking about it, but that the habit is created by pattern behavioral patterns, right? So is it what we do every day? We wake up every day pretty much the same way. We go to bed pretty much in the same way every day. So think about those patterns in a productive way. And number three, lead from your heart, because you lead in emotionally, not intelligently. And we can have the best plan ever, but we don't execute, and we don't execute well, the results are going to be shown in the ROIs or in the bottom line. So that's important for those leaders out there. And if you are a small business owner or a real estate agent or a loan officer or somebody that kind of sort of works as a solopreneur, don't think that you don't have a business. Because Sandra, last week we spoke about this. It is a business. It requires a business plan. It needs to be treated as a business plan. That being said, I'm gonna let you close today. So, any more words of wisdom? Anything else that you want to add before we close?
You talked about motivation and discipline, but most of my coaching today was to teams and business and how to get to the business plans and unveiling motivation versus discipline. Let me tell you something important. Motivation is external. Motivation doesn't come from outside of you. There is no area in your brain that rewires your brain because of motivation. It doesn't store it, it forgets it. It doesn't make you feel better. It wears out a little bit after you receive that motivation. It doesn't get you to another place. Discipline, on the other hand, rewires your brain, and it has a space in your frontal cortex where it rewires and it creates new neuronal pathways. And what it does is that when you achieve your result because of discipline, then you have the dopamine. So you feel better about you, but from the inside. So that's a pattern, you talking about patterns, that you will repeat because it makes you feel good. So motivation, no. Discipline, absolutely, because it gets you to be that better person every day and gets you to win, regardless of how uncomfortable it is, because discipline is painful. Discipline is hard. Discipline requires you to change from the inside. And that's when you rewire your brain, and that's when you grow.
100%, Sandra. So we all need to change from the inside.
Yes.
And with that said, we're going to close today. We hope you enjoyed this conversation. We will see you again in our next episode. Sandra, once again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Miguel.
Amazing, amazing. I will see you soon.
I see you soon. Thank you, everybody, and work on yourself so that you can work with AI agent intelligence.
Bye.
Bye.